Um, okay, everybody, let's begin. So welcome to this session of the first session of many sessions to come. This is basically the session on the roadmap that I call the new series of $1 million creation. It's basically what is necessary in order to build a $1 million funnel, breaking down to all of the different milestones. So one of the things I spent some time on is really thinking like, all you guys are at different levels. There's some people that's not really started, some people that's crushing it. Like, how do I get everybody aligned and put in this framework so that no matter where you're at right now, there is this framework to follow so that it's gonna serve you at the highest level. So I was thinking about like, what's the journey and what's really necessary in terms of making this happen. So what I wanna do first is I wanna share with you like, I've broken this down into a few different phases. So it's basically the first phase, which is like, if you're brand new, what should you be doing and what are the steps? If you've generated like your first dollar, how do you get your first dollar to your first $1,000? Then the next milestone is like, how do you get your first 1,000 to the first 100,000? And how do you scale from 100,000 to $1 million? And then what's after $1 million? Okay, so I'm gonna break down all of the different milestones that needs to be in place so that you guys get to see where you're at and what's the next thing to work on. And I think that's the biggest differentiator here, which is, I think that in the day and age that we're in right now with the search engines and YouTube, today is no longer the question of whether the information's out there. We all know that there's tons of information, and the problem is information overload. So like, we've been in the information age, but the problem with the information age is that there's just too much information. And I think that right now what you guys need is no longer just more information, but rather the insight, which is like, the difference between insight and information is, insight is like, what is the next thing for you, right? It's no longer about joining some 3-hour training and watching a 8-hour video, but rather what is the next thing that you need to do right now that will help you get to the next level, the next step. Okay, so that is what this session is all about. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to be able to draw out what's the next thing for you. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so right now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm on my share screen, and I know like sometimes when I'm on my share screen, I tend to like forget that I'm on a share screen. And okay, yeah, so that you guys can definitely see it. Okay, great. So let me know in the chat if you see the share screen as well, because sometimes I get a little bit paranoid. But right now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you the roadmap to what I believe is, what I'm going to call it is the $1 million creation. Okay, so in order to make this happen, the $1 million creation, I believe that there's many different phases, and the first phase is basically this phase over here. So the first phase, I'm not sure if I need to get a better app, but I always seem to have issues. It seems to be lagging a little bit. Okay, so let's say this is the phase 1, okay? And right now, it's like, so now even if you're not at this phase right now, I'd like you to know like what the foundation is, because you get the foundation is, that's when you'll be able to get to the next step, to the next phase, okay? So like, this is, if somebody is starting out, I believe these are the crucial milestones a person needs to go through in order to get to the next level. Okay, so let me just kind of share with you all, first of all, what's the different phases. The different phases is basically 0 to $1, $1 to $1,000, $1,000 to 100,000, and 100,000 to $1 million, and then $1 million and beyond to 10 million. That's how I'm splitting this series of training. And then after that, I'm going to be showing you like, what is your next step once I give you that big picture. Okay, so let me just kind of label these little boxes in here. What are these boxes? These boxes are the milestones, and these boxes are the action steps. Okay, so these boxes over here is basically for you to do a check to see where you are at. Okay, so right now you guys have all done this, which is you're all part of the $1 Million Creation Training. Okay, so you guys have done that. So congratulations. Now your next step, okay, and you might have heard me say this if you attended Internet Mastery Retreat, but the first thing you need to do is to understand who it is that you serve and what is the result you generate. Okay, I think this is so crucial as the first step, okay, of making happen. And this first phase here, I'm going to call this first phase, like in your first phase, what do you actually need to do? You actually need to build a list. Okay, so let's call this phase 1, list building. So whether you want to sell a service, whether you want to sell a physical product, a digital product, whether you want to do affiliate marketing, the one thing everything has in common is that you need to be able to build a list. Okay, that's the one thing that does not change. So if we understood that, then the first thing you need to answer is, and I'll talk more about this in detail, is who it is to serve and what is the result you generate. Now, once you have that in place, the next thing you need to think about is how do you find, which is this box over here, the blue ocean in a red ocean. Okay, how do you look at what other people are doing and find that offer so that you are not competing based on price? You might have heard me say this many times. Most businesses, the thing and how they compete is they compete based on price. And if you're competing based on price, it would be the race to the bottom of the barrel. Okay, so how do you find that blue ocean in a competitive market? You take a look at pretty much any single market, it's going to be competitive. And how do you find that blue ocean? This is where you are going to look at offers that's converting, their hook, story, and offer, which I'll talk about. But this is basically the second step, finding the blue ocean in the red ocean. Okay, and from there, it is about creating your free offer. What is the thing that you can give away for free so that somebody gladly gives you their name and email address? And then from there, okay, how do you, once you know what your giveaway is, you're going to build your very first opt-in funnel. Okay, you're going to build your very first opt-in funnel. And then after that, you are going to use free traffic strategies. Now, this step over here, this phase over here, rather, this is basically, I'm trying to draw like a flag. This phase over here, you would have accomplished this phase. Okay, so like this is an achievement. Okay, once you get your first subscriber into your list, that's phase 1. Okay, and that's when you would unlock an achievement. And one of the things I'm going to be doing with my team is I want to gamify it, and I want to give you incentives along the way and rewards and recognition whenever you finish an accomplishment, okay, or an achievement. So this achievement over here, this achievement, okay, let me use pink, okay. So this achievement is when you have your first subscriber, okay. Now, I'm going to talk about all of the different phases, but this is the first phase. Now, every session, I'm going to be breaking down all these different phases so that you get to do a check to see where you are. And even if you're past that phase, I want you to think about the different things that you may have missed out. You may not have thought about any of these things in between here, and fill up those gaps, because I've put a lot of thought into this entire framework. And this is the first piece. Okay, so even if you've built a list of 10,000 people, even if you've done 5 figures or 6 figures, I want you to think about like this first step, which of the steps is missing for you? Because this is the first part to get your foundation right. Okay, and then after this, I'm going to go deeper into each of these check boxes. So in other words, in this section, there really is 5 main deliverables that you need to do. Okay, so right now, if one of the things I realized is like in the past, we've built webinar funnels, we have went through proven presentations, I've gone through my free plus shipping offers. All those things are great, okay? And all those trainings are in the archive. But right now, the training now is about insight. What is the next thing that you want to be building,